I am surrounded by wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans. Professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up. This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line! Cause Stone Cold Simpson!
Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, and whoever else is listening to this, and wrestling fans all over the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, it is me, Ted H-E-A-D, back with you for another installment of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are well, whatever it is you are doing. Yeah, pretty big week in WWE, Payback and that, but we'll get to that, all that hype later on. And yeah, today's show, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we will talk Raw, Smackdown, NXT, TNA, hopefully Ring of Honor, and yeah, maybe ICW, depending if the Friday Night Fight Club is back or not. If not, I might mention ICW anyway, because I have a little bit of a little thing. I'll give you an update on ICW, because I'm planning a show for ICW in terms of me, you know, giving ICW its own show, you know, Wrestling Matters Podcast, giving it its own show, you know, for me, because I want to cover ICW as much as I can. Why? Because I fucking love it. But more on that later. And we're going to get to various other topics as well later on as well. Be sure to check all them out as well, various other topics as well. And normally my little rant that I do at the beginning, like last week, I'm going to do it again at the end of the show. So be sure to check that out. And also, ladies and gentlemen, part 1 of the Andrew Lockhart interview is today. I'm going to air that today. Last week I finished up the Michael Larkin interview that I did with him. This week I'm going to do a very interesting interview with one Andrew Lockhart. So be sure to check that out. It's coming up today. Part 1 will come up today in sometime in this podcast. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, bear with me. I am a little bit excited today. I want to give promotions and give a shout out to everybody on the Swerve Talk Network. Be sure to check out the Swerve Talk Network. I say this every week, but I promote it as best I can for you guys. You gotta go and check it out. All the links to them will be in the description on YouTube or SoundCloud, whatever the hell you see this as well. So be sure to check them out. Offshoot Radio, Michael Rodriguez, my arch nemesis-ish. But I love the guy either way as well, and the gang. Be sure to check them out. Shout out to Evan McCabe. Hope you're getting well soon, sir, and hope you get back into the podcasting as well. Get back to doing your show, and also Max Wrestling as well with Craig, Daz, and Co. as well. Be sure to check everybody out, and of course, I can't leave out my mentor. That's right, Mr. Kitty Killer with Sunday Segway as well. How can I leave that out? How can I leave that out? Be sure to check all of them out on the Swerve Talk Network from Friday right the way through, or from Friday or Saturday. I believe it's Saturday right the way through to Monday, because I'm the last one. So be sure to check everybody out in that respects as well. Show some love. They're all great shows, each and every one of them, and they all do their thing in terms of professional wrestling, just like we always do. And like James Belmont once said, we are the elite. Anyway, now I normally do Mystery Island podcast at the Mystery Island promotion here. I wish I could do a podcast on Mystery Island, quite frankly, after what they've done for me. But anyway, I've got a big promotion, ladies and gentlemen, to do. It is May 2nd, and on May 4th, which is, today is May 2nd, as this goes out. Yep, May 4th, which is Wednesday, guys. This Wednesday, get yourself over to, hang on, I've got it here, the Mystery Island. 56 to 58 Oxton Road, Birkenhead. For more information, call 07541 761 956. Okay, for more information on that. Autographs will be £8. Photos will be £8. Combined £14. 8 and 8 is 14. And it all starts from 2:30 on the afternoon. UK time. 2:30 UK time. Why you should go there? Wednesday, May 4th. Why you should go there? I wish I could go there. I'd be there in a flash if I was in town. But unfortunately, I'm not. Hopefully, I can work something else out. But anyway, the reason why I'm promoting this very bigly, guys, because Jimmy Havoc will be in town. That's right, Mr. Progress Wrestling, the man behind probably the best heel turn in the history of wrestling, bar none. Former Progress Wrestling champion, former Rev Pro UK champion as well, and the man who is tearing up ICW at this moment in time from what I've seen. So be sure to check him out. VIP also cost, besides the autographs, £8, photo £8, combined £14. It is as seen on TV. VIPs cost £20 as well. So be sure to check all that out as well. For more information, all the links to Mystery Island will be in the description below. You know what? I'll give you the Facebook link as well. It is facebook.com/back to the island. So that's back, the number 2, the island, all one word, on Facebook. Be sure to check that out. And yeah, Havoc's coming to Ireland, guys. Hashtag Havoc on the island, man. I mean, it's going to be great. I mean, that's probably huge for that shop, man. No doubt, having Jimmy Havoc there. And like I say, they're my friends, Mystery Island. I work with them a great deal. Like I say, I promote their stuff on the podcast as well. Why? Because, hey, a deal's a deal. We made a deal, and we stand by that deal, and I stand by that deal no matter what. They are my partners, and I am not going to stop promoting them on this podcast. And if you don't like it, well, something you got to get used to, guys, because they are good stuff. And like I say, if you're ever in the Birkenhead area, 56 to 58 Oxton Road, get yourself over there, guys, in Liverpool. So get yourself over there. Meet Jimmy Havoc. Not just Jimmy Havoc. Meet other wrestlers that come over there. You know, they've had Carlito, Chris Masters, Rockstar Spud. They've had them all, guys. Get it over there, and any opportunity you can, because it'll be worth the trip. So like I say, guys, 56 to 58 Oxton Road. People having a bit of trouble finding that, from what I was told during the week by one of the guys who runs who's associated and runs the place. It's simply enough to find, guys. 56 to 58 Oxton Road. Get yourself over there when you can, guys. Right, I'm going to end this part here. I wanted to promote that as best I could. Coming up after the break, ladies and gentlemen, I will play the Raw audio as well as the Payback predictions. I recorded a video this week because I had something to do during the week, bit of family business, even though the person who was supposed to come, I did arrive, but she came late. But anyway, at least she came. So I had to record a live stream video via Google Hangouts this week of Raw and Payback predictions. So, like I say, guys, hopefully you guys saw it. If you didn't, don't worry. The audio is going to come up right after this quick timeout. And then I'll be back with Smackdown, NXT, TNA, hopefully Ring of Honor. I want to see the Dalton Castle, Silas Young fight without honor fight as well. So hopefully Ring of Honor, and any other stuff that I can fit in as well. Plus an opinion on a topic maybe. Plus Michael Larkin, Andrew Lockhart's part 1 of his interview that I did. A very interesting interview as well. So stay tuned for all of that, because it's coming up on today's episode of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. I'll be back right after this. If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM Podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
There's only one wrestling podcast that gives you honest, uncut opinions and the most unique trivia since WWE did The Weakest Link. And the only place you can hear the show-stealing podcast promo every single week.
Covering WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground. Max Wrestling Podcast is the place for you. Join myself, Evan Money McCabe, the Phoenix, and the Butcher. Sundays at 7 PM UK time, 2 PM Eastern time with your host, Danny Dangerously, on VOC Nation and the Swerve Talk Network.
Go to maxwrestling.wix.com/maxwrestling or follow us at maxwrestlinguk for more details.
Give in to the madness.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a live stream recording that I'm doing. Normally I would do this later on, but since I've got some plans later on to do today, very important stuff, family business, if you will, I promised you that I was going to do a Raw review, and you're going to get it. So it's going to have to be this way for the tap for this week. Might start doing it this way anyway. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, it's going to have to be this way this week because, like I say, later on today, as I'm recording this, it is now 10 a.m. and I've got some very important family business to take care of. So this is going to have to do today. Now, today, I'm going to talk Raw. The Raw review from last night, the 25th of April episode last night, which was very unique in a way, and probably a good Raw, very good Raw indeed, and very better than last week's. So last week was in England, but in my opinion, this week's was better than last week's. So, and there's a few other things that have been added to the Payback pay-per-view this Sunday. Also, speaking of Payback, I will be doing my Payback predictions in this video as well. So look out for that. Stay tuned for that as well. But first, we'll get Raw out of the way. Let's get that sorted out first, because it is the main topic of this video. And Raw kicked off with Shane McMahon coming down for the 4th straight week in the row. He takes charge of Raw. This week, though, he was interrupted by Stephanie. And it's all calmed down. Shane McMahon eventually has her escorted out the building. But it's all going to come down to this Sunday. Who's going to take over Raw after Payback? You know, full time. Who's going to take Raw into the next future? Stephanie or Shane? That's Vince to decide. And it's all going to take place this Sunday at Payback. So that should be interesting. If there's any God in this world, it would be Shane. But I would imagine it will be Shane, considering, you know, there's a rumor flying down the road that it's going to be Shane versus Triple H at some point. So, and from what I've heard as well, it's going to be the last storyline involving the Authority. You know, the Shane versus Triple H thing, all this this animosity between Shane, Triple H, and Stephanie, yada, yada, yada. It's all going to come down to, it's all going to be, rather, the last storyline that the Authority are involved in. So let's hope that's the case. Match-wise, Shane and Sheamus went one-on-one with AJ Styles. Very good match to kick off. And Styles manages to get the win. And yes, looking about, they came out on the stage getting prepared for their match later on, which I'll talk about. Carl Anderson and Doug Gallows applauding their friend, Mr. AJ Styles, as well. But like I say, a very good match to kick off in terms of matches on Raw. And yeah, Sheamus did well, but AJ Styles is the man. No question about that. And the tag team champions go face to face with two of the potential number one contenders. This will all be sorted out Sunday. Enzo Moore, Colin Cassidy, and the Vaudevillains, they all confront each other. And obviously, I guess the New Day were looking at their next potential challengers, you know, scouting them and see what they got or anything. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But it should be very interesting this Sunday. And it's interesting to see the two NXT teams are going to be going for the WWE Tag Team Champions. Which one will it be? I'll give you my predictions later on that. And now for one of the main talking points of Raw. Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson's debut, and a very interesting debut against the Usos. They destroyed them. They made an impact. They showed why they are a great tag team. They showed why they're probably the number one, or were the number one tag team in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And yeah, they got the job done. They destroyed the Usos, or as many people like to call the Usos, the John Cena of the tag team division. And after they wanted to make a statement on the Usos and beat the Usos up, but Roman Reigns came out and put an end to that. So it'll be interesting to see what's next for Luke Gallows and Anderson, but I think something big's going down at Payback. Like I say, I'll talk about that later on. Sami Zayn, Rusev. Now, this was an interesting match, which Sami Zayn managed to get the win. From what I saw, it was Rusev who dominated the match, and then one mistake by Rusev manages to get Sami Zayn to roll him up and get the victory, and then Lana throws her shoes at Sami Zayn because he won the match. outsmarting Rusev as well. And then after that, Kevin Owens came down and attacked Sami Zayn, all leading to their big match this Sunday at Payback. Hopefully this will end. Apollo Crews was backstage having an interview, gets interrupted by Stardust, and I think Apollo showed respect to Stardust, but I think Stardust was having none of it, and Apollo ends up beating Stardust in convincing fashion. I don't mind Apollo being on Raw, and like I say, he's got a big future on Raw, but he needs to be tested. He needs to be really, really tested. I know they're pushing him, but he does need to be tested a bit more. Before I go to Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, Natalya defeated Emma, warming up for a match this Sunday. Yes, Charlotte was at ringside, but Natalya made Emma tap at the expense of the sharpshooter. Will that be Charlotte's fate this Sunday? We'll have to wait and see. And going there, Chris Jericho confronts Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose ended up saying that he was very sorry that he had to do this, and that would beat the hell out of him right there and then. He wasn't going to be sorry that he's going to beat him at Payback, but he was very sorry that he was going to attempt to whip his ass right there and then. But Jericho ends up getting him on the announce table in the walls of Jericho. Will that be Dean Ambrose's fate this Sunday? Hope not. But anyway. Damien Sandow, Baron Corbin never happened, because as Baron Corbin came out, Dolph Ziggler attacked him, and that's all going to culminate this Sunday as well with Payback. Baron Corbin, like I say, has made a huge impact coming to Raw or coming to the main roster. He makes his debut at WrestleMania, wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal unexpectedly, but he took advantage of it. And hey, he's got his hands full this Sunday with Dolph. That's the promise, if you will, on that. Cesaro confronted the Miz, basically puts Miz in his place, and then Miz tries to walk away with his wife, Maurice, and then as he walked away, he goes to take a cheap shot at Cesaro. Cesaro lifts him up and then uppercuts him. I hope Cesaro wins the Intercontinental Championship this Sunday. That's all I'm saying on that. And he definitely made his mark against The Miz right there and then. And then it went on to the World Heavyweight Championship match. Well, the World Heavyweight Champion, rather. Roman Reigns against Alberto Del Rio, which ended in Roman Reigns defeating Alberto Del Rio with a spear, and all hell breaks loose after the match. Anderson and Dark come in for a little bit of payback. Styles comes running down, tries to calm them both down and get him out the ring. He turns around, Styles takes a Superman punch for his troubles, and then Roman beats up Gallows and Anderson. Then, as he turns around, he takes the springboard forearm from AJ Styles, and one thing leads to another. Will the Bullet Club or the Bulletproof or whatever the fuck they're going to call themselves be formed? Notice, ladies and gentlemen, that the rumor this past week was supposedly going to be, what I call it, Finn Balor coming to Raw. Is this going to happen? Is this going to happen Sunday? We'll have to wait and see. You know, I've heard the names they're going to call themselves. They're going to call themselves the Balor Club. This Bulletproof name, I believe, is being thrown around. I love it. Either way. Now for Payback. Ladies and gentlemen, Payback predictions. Like I said, I was going to do. But before I do that, before I forget, I was going to give Raw this week 7 out of 10, 4 out of 5. Yeah, it was a better Raw than last week. A better Raw than last week. Was it the best Raw out of the Raws this past month since after WrestleMania? No. But it was a better Raw than last week. That's my review on that. And I hope you guys enjoyed Raw as well. Now for the Payback predictions. Now, I'll get it out of the way. Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho. Dean Ambrose to win, hands down. I can't see Chris Jericho winning it. I can't see what it will benefit Chris Jericho winning, to be honest. Yes, he came off a big win at WrestleMania against AJ Styles, but I can't see what this would do. It means more if Ambrose wins it than Jericho does. So I'm going with Ambrose on that. I've already gave you my prediction on the Intercontinental Championship match. Cesaro to be your new Intercontinental Champion. I don't like The Miz. I love the fact that Cesaro knocked him out of his Lady Gaga outfit on Raw with that uppercut. But it was pointless Miz winning the championship in the first place, to be honest. It meant nothing. Yes, Zack Ryder won the championship, but they pissed on it the next night on Raw. The whole thing makes no sense. But anyway, it is what it is at the end of the day. And I hope Cesaro beats him this Sunday. Let's have a look at the other matches. Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin. I think Baron Corbin will win that. Dolph's there to put Baron over, to be honest. And that's the simple match, to be honest. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. I think Sami Zayn is going to get his revenge. And like the title says, Payback. And it'll be Payback for Sami Zayn. And that match, in my opinion, will steal the show. This feud has been all over with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Has been Ring of Honor, PWG, NXT, probably. I don't know if it's been PWG. That's just my assumption on that. I know it's been in Ring of Honor, NXT, and WWE now itself. So, yeah, I think Sami Zayn will get his revenge this Sunday against Kevin Owens, no doubt. Who else is there? I think the Vaudevillains will be your number one contenders for the Tag Team Championships. And they'll be the next opponents for the New Day. New Day are now baby faces. So I'm guessing it'll be, the New Day now being baby faces. I'm guessing the Vaudevillains will win. I hope I'm wrong. I'd like to see Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy get the victory, but they're not really big on this babyface versus babyface thing. Not that baby faces and heels matter anymore in WWE, but that's just my assumption and my opinion on that. And I think it's going to be Vaudevillains getting the victory on that one as well. Will they beat the New Day? Well, that's another issue for another. That's another view or opinion for another day. I've already told you about the Vince McMahon situation. Who's going to control Raw? Hopefully, it'll be Shane. Natalya and Charlotte. I hope and pray that it's going to be Natalya that wins. She deserved to be women's champion. She deserved to be Divas champion. She deserves a run as a women's champion or champion. Man, this woman's put her heart and soul into the women's division, Divas division, whatever the fuck you want to call it. She deserves to be a champion. And the fact that I don't remember even her being a champion, to be honest. I don't think she has. I might be wrong on that. If I am, I apologize. But, that's just my memory on that. And it's this match is a carbon copy of their NXT match, quite frankly. Because in one corner, it's going to be Ric Flair for Charlotte. In the other corner, it's going to be Bret Hart. So I'm guessing them two are going to, take the awe of this match and probably go at it themselves at some point. But I'm pulling for Natalya, but don't be surprised if Charlotte wins. That's all I'm saying. And like I said, I'm going to the rumor as well that I've been hearing. I think for this, it's gonna be Charlotte and Natalya for the next couple of pay-per-views, maybe. And it's going to culminate with Sasha Banks winning the championship at SummerSlam. That's what I've heard. Okay? That's what I've heard. I might be wrong on that, but that's what I've heard. So, either way, I'm rooting for Natalya. I'm pulling for Natalya to win. But don't be surprised if Charlotte wins. And no doubt Daddy will get involved. There's two more matches. Obviously, with Bray Wyatt's injury in the live events this past week, or last week, whatever it was scheduled to be Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family against the League of Nations. Obviously, that's not going to take place. It's not on the card. Obviously, it was on the card at first, but now it's been taken off. So, yeah, I might have to wait for another day. Let's put it in Extreme Rules. That'll be interesting. No holds barred match between the two teams. Anyway, and also Ryback and Kalisto is on the pre-show for the US title. Yes, the US title has hit the shitter. Come back, John Cena, save that title. For God's sake. And yeah, it's gone back to square one again with the US title, and I believe Ryback will win the United States Championship this Sunday. Surely Kalisto can't beat him twice. And it goes back to what's been said this past week as well. Because I read on Wrestle Talk TV that 3 wrestlers have been very vocal about their positions in the company. Ryback's been one of them. He didn't like the fact that the US title was on the pre-show at WrestleMania. Well, he's not going to like, if he didn't like that at WrestleMania, he's not going to like this because it's on the pre-show again. And I think he's going to walk out the United States champion because I think they'll give him the belt just to shut him up, quite frankly. And the World Heavyweight Championship match, realistically, I'm going for Roman Reigns in this match, but there's a clip, a video in the description below titled, let's have a look at the title, an idea of what could happen at Payback in the WWE title match, and that's involving Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows coming out, possibly interfering, possibly helping AJ Styles out into the point where AJ ends up winning the title. But speaking realistically, I think it's too early for AJ. He's only been in the company since he's only made his debut in the Royal Rumble match. So I think it's a little bit too early. I'm not saying that AJ will not be WWE champion. He will. But I think it's a little bit too early for him yet. And they've only just put the title on him, on Roman Reigns. So I think it's time for Roman to have his run with the championship. Yes, I hate to admit that. And yes, I'm probably going to get some stick for that. But I think Roman Reigns will be WWE champion by the time this is over. Will Styles be champion? Yeah. And like I say, is the possibility Roman Reigns will probably win the championship and then all hell will break loose after the match. You know, Anderson and Gallows will get involved and then Balor may join in and, you know, and the Bullet Club maybe, or the Balor Club or the Bulletproof or whatever the fuck they're going to call themselves are going to get involved. You know, who knows what's going to happen? All I know is I'm predicting Roman Reigns will be your WWE champion after Payback. And that about wraps it up for this video, guys, this recording. Hope you guys will enjoy it. Leave a like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Check out the new episode of the Wrestling Matters podcast. It is up there. Episode 108, Rest in Peace, China. And for more information, check the links below in the description. And my name is Anthony Walker, saying see you next time. And I'll be back next week with another Raw review. So stay tuned for that. Whether it'll be recorded, whether it'll be live, I don't know. But there will be a Raw review next week on this channel. And tune in this Sunday as well, because I'll do a Payback review on here as well. Yes, I'm going to be working late as well on the night. So stay tuned for that. Until then, guys, I love you guys. Thanks for your support on this channel. Good, bad. Everybody has an opinion about the world of professional wrestling, and that's what's beautiful about it as well. So until next time, guys, my name is Anthony Walker, saying peace out.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
There's only one wrestling podcast that gives you honest, uncut opinions and the most unique trivia since WWE did The Weakest Link. And the only place you can hear the show-stealing podcast promo every single week.
Covering WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, Max Wrestling Podcast is the place for you. Join myself, Evan Money McCabe, the Phoenix, and the Butcher. Sundays at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern time with your host, Danny Dangerously, on VOC Nation and the Swerve Talk Network.
Go to maxwrestling.wix.com/maxwrestling or follow us at maxwrestlinguk for more details.
Give in to the madness.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Anthony Walker here for the Wrestling Matters channel and the Wrestling and SoundCloud and everybody else with it as well. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Hope you guys enjoyed the Raw and the Payback predictions as well. So, ladies and gents, without further ado, let's talk briefly about what happened on Smackdown. Roman Reigns sent Miz packing. Apparently, they got into a little confrontation which set up their champion versus champion match at the end of the night. More on that in a second. Pre-Payback war of words on the Asylum involving Natalya and Charlotte. Baron Corbin defeats Damien Sandow, a match that probably should have took place last week if I'm not mistaken, but Dolph Ziggler put an end to that. United States Champion Kalisto, Sami Zayn and Cesaro defeat the League of Nations. Apollo Crews beats Stardust. I almost said Sandow there. Enzo and Big Cass beat Social Outcasts. Nothing new there. R-Truth apparently finds himself a new tag team partner, and the World Heavyweight Champion beats the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. I'm going to go to that right now. I just want to see. Just when it seemed like Goldust was ready to go ahead with Golden Truth Tag Team, R-Truth informed the Bizarre Superstar that he has formed Gorgeous Truth with Tyler Breeze. Oh joy. Anyway, so with that being said, okay, and I'll just go to... oh god, the main points, excuse me here guys. The number one contender attempted to remain neutral was thwarted when Jimmy Uso hit him with the right hand. This is after it all ended with the right hand. That was on Styles. Styles fought back with an enziguri kick before Gallows fell on the sword for the Phenomenal One by standing in front of a thunderous spear. Is AJ a part of this little clique group thing with Gallows and Anderson? Are we going to see the Bullet Club or the Bulletproof or the Balor Club or whatever the fuck they're going to call themselves? You know, are we actually going to see it? When are we going to see Finn Balor on Raw? Guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. But that about wraps it up for the points there on Smackdown there. I wanted to go through that briefly, guys, because I wanted to talk about NXT. There's been another main headline that developed this past week involving NXT. I'll go through what happened on the NXT show this week. Shinsuke Nakamura defeats Elias Sampson, I believe. Let's have a look. Ow. Let's see. Asuka beat Eva Marie. The Revival proved to be too strong for Jeff Parker and Matt Lee. You know, cementing themselves back in the title picture, the tag title picture, that is. Hype Bros beat Blake and Murphy. Carmella, who should be on Raw, quite frankly, defeat Aliyah. And Nakamura, like I said, beat Elias Sampson. Let's go to, Nakamura beat Elias Sampson. But I want to talk about the main breaking news that developed, I think a couple of days after that, actually. I think I picked it up today. I picked it up on Friday, actually. And the fact that Eric Young is in NXT. There was footage going around. Eric Young is now in NXT, and there's a it's on WWE.com. For more information, check out WWE.com. And seems everybody lately is going to NXT, and apparently from what I saw, the pictures that I saw and the footage that I saw, or what footage I saw, apparently he ended up confronting Samoa Joe, the NXT champion. So what's in store for Mr. Young on NXT? Last time I saw him in a ring, he got DDT'd through a table off an apron by Bram, dropping his King of the Mountain title as well. More on that later as well. This is the reason why TNA is recorded. For those of you that don't know, it's recorded 3-4 weeks maybe in advance, I don't know, but it's recorded in advance, no doubt. But what's going to be in store, and it'd be interesting to see. There's interesting things that are happening with Eric Young in here, because his finishing move's the pile driver, and that's one move that's been banned in WWE due to the neck injuries that has happened in the past involving one Stone Cold Steve Austin. What would his finishing move be? It'd be interesting to see, and what is in store for him. According to the interview that I saw on WWE.com, he said that he was willing to prove himself in NXT and prove that he belongs there, and that's the place he wants to be, and prove that he is the best. I don't think he really needs to prove that, quite frankly. He might need to prove it to the WWE universe, unless they don't watch TNA every week, but especially the NXT and the NXT universe as well. But yeah, very interesting times in NXT, and just when you thought NXT couldn't get more big or couldn't get any better, Eric Young joins NXT. Very interesting to see what is in store for him. Eric Young versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Eric Young maybe against Finn Balor before he heads up the Raw or the main roster. Maybe an NXT version of Eric Young versus Samoa Joe. Apollo Crews, drop him down there a little bit and give him a match. Lot of mouth-watering ideas for Mr. Young, but it'd be interesting to see, indeed. And if he ever gets up to the main roster, he calls himself the Maniac, I believe they call himself. Put him with the Lunatic Fringe. That'll be good. One of them two feuding, Eric Young. I'd considering their characters and everything, I definitely would love to see that. But I'm looking forward to see what Eric Young brings to the NXT table. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a quick time out here, and I'll be back right after this with Ring of Honor, hopefully, and TNA. So we'll just see. I'm definitely going to bring you TNA. Ring of Honor, it's a different story, but hopefully I will bring it. So if you want to know what happens, stay tuned after this. And don't forget, Andrew Lockhart Part 1 is still to come as well. All to come on the Wrestling Matters Podcast. I'll be right back. If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters Podcast. It is time for the Ring of Honor and TNA review. Now, for the next 3 weeks, from what it seems on Ring of Honor television, they're going to be bringing you some footage and some shows that they recorded in February in Japan, building into Global Wars, which takes place, I believe, beginning of May. So, it all takes place in May. So, I don't know if I'll be able to see that Dalton Castle Silas Young fight, but anyway, either way. So, last week was Dalton Castle was involved, and I told you last week and everything. This week, it was main evented by the Bullet Club. That's right, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. In their game, it was, I think it was Shibab, whatever his name is. I don't know what the heck they call the guy. I can't pronounce his name, so I apologize for that. But I know his tag team partners were Red Dragon. Great 6-man tag, back and forth stuff. Kind of ruined at the end when the Young Bucks got the spray and sprayed Kyle O'Reilly right in the face, you know, breaking the chokehold that he had on Kenny Omega. But either way, Kenny Omega is proving, from what I saw, proves to be a great leader. And you have to remember, this was from February as well. This was recorded. But the Young Bucks just super kicking everybody, including Kenny. They actually made a mistake at one point and ended up kicking Kenny in the face. But they got the victory. Hard-fought victory, but thanks to that little spray thing that allowed them to get the victory, they do the springboard tombstone that they do, which I know wouldn't be, I know the reason why they're not in WWE, because that would be banned like that. And then Kenny finished Kyle O'Reilly off with his move, and did well to get it on, because he nearly botched it, but he did well to get it on and get the victory. And he is the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. Also, Lethal and Naito took on Yoshihashi and Okada, and they managed to get the victory. These two couldn't coexist, or so they thought, but they managed to get the victory and beat Hashi and the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. It was great stuff, great tag match, and you know, Jay Lethal is the ROH World Champion. I would like to see Ring of Honor against IWGP, Ring of Honor versus IWGP World Champion. So at some point, I'd like to see that. Should Lethal still hold the title, though. And Kaz took on Kushida. I got asked this before by somebody about best wrestlers in the world, and he mentioned Kaz. Kaz is he's damn sure one of the best X Division wrestlers around. One of the best X Division wrestlers to come about. Best wrestlers in the world? I disagree, okay? And I'm not saying he's not a great wrestler. He's a phenomenal wrestler. To be honest with you, he's too good for WWE. Whether he will go back to WWE and join NXT at some point, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but he's too good for that, in my opinion. He's a phenomenal tag team wrestler. I would definitely say he's one of the best tag team wrestlers of all time. Definitely. He's been in some tag teams, and him and Chris Daniels are a great tag team. No question about it. Despite Chris Daniels walking around like something out of our lower law. That general, you know, almighty Chris Daniels. Fucking hell, bring back the Fallen Angel, man, for fuck's sake. But he's the best. But in terms of singles wrestlers, I wouldn't put him in my top 10. He might be the best wrestler. It's a debatable concept, but I disagree with it. I wouldn't put him in my top 10, okay? I wouldn't put him in my top 10. I would probably say just outside the top 20. I would definitely say that, just outside the top 20. But not in my top 10. Although he is a phenomenal wrestler. He's a great wrestler. And he is proven to be one of the best in the world at the moment. I wouldn't put him in my best of the world, but hey, like I say, he's definitely in one of my best tag team wrestlers of all time. He'd definitely be in the top 10. And damn sure he's one of the best X Division wrestlers of all time. Hell, he made that fucking X Division. He was one of the pioneers of the X Division, if you ask me. But, you know, all in all, he had his hands full with Kushida, and fuck did he do. I mean, god damn, Kushida's so good. It wouldn't be surprising me if WWE had him on their radar, man. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Although they'd probably fucking mow him down or something, saying you can't do this, this, and this, but you can do this, this, and this kind of stuff. You know how WWE is. They'll probably do that to him, but fuck, he's good. He is really good, man. Really, really good. And like I said, don't be surprised if you see him in WWE in the future. Don't be surprised. You know, that he is so fucking good. He really is. But he managed to get a victory, a hard-fought victory, in a great match with Kaz as well. Now, that was Ring of Honor. Next week is a Bullet Club hour on Ring of Honor, again from Japan. Now, you have to remember, guys, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows will be on the show. For those of you that don't know, this was taped in February. I'm just letting you know. You're probably thinking to yourself next week, what the fuck are they doing on this? You know, for those of you that don't know, they're probably, because now they're in WWE now, but for those of you that don't know, they're probably thinking to yourself, what the fuck are they doing now? I thought they were in WWE. This was recorded in February. Just bear that in mind. And they take on the Briscoes next week. I think they lost that, to be honest with you. But it was their last time probably in that as well before they ended up going to WWE. One of their last matches on their route to WWE anyway. So even though it took them about 2 months to get to WWE, but that's all I'm saying on that. Now we go to TNA, ladies and gents. Keep up with me, guys. TNA headlined, I believe it was the Sacrifice show, headlined by one of my brother's favorite people. He seems to have met at the moment as well. You can see this TNA episode. Well, you saw this TNA episode yesterday. It seems to my brother got into. You know, he was very happy as Larry the other day. He told me because he got to meet the now newly crowned King of the Mountain champion as well. And as we all know, as we predicted, as I said it was, not to give a spoiler away last week, but Bram is your King of the Mountain champion. I know because he appeared on ICW with it. So, and I'm an ICW fan, so, and I watch ICW, so it was, you know, pretty predictable in that kind of way. So I kind of knew he was going to be the King of the Mountain champion. Now, a lot of things went down. Drew Galloway retained the TNA World title against Tyrus. Yes, Tyrus got a title shot. This was a sacrifice. This was the Sacrifice show, guys. Yep, TNA World Heavyweight Champion Drew Galloway beats Tyrus. Rockstar Spud by pinfall to retain the title with Future Shock. In-ring segment between Gail Kim and the Knockouts chief Maria led to a match with Gail Kim and Rosemary from the group with Ibis and everything. Decay, that's it. Why the fucking brain fart there, eh? And Rosemary managed to get the win. New champions, Decay win. Decay and the new champions, which led to Rude eventually leaving and James Stormer on his own. Like I said, King of the Mountain champion is now Bram, and the main event was Mike Bennett defeating by pinfall in a no disqualification match Ethan Carter III as well. So a lot to went down. Like I said, EY, that was the last appearance in TNA of EY because EY eventually left, and as I said earlier on, he's now in NXT. So interesting times as a wrestling fan, ladies and gentlemen. But that about wraps up this segment, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take a quick time out here and I'll be back right after this with part 1. That's right, after the break, ladies and gentlemen, is part 1 of Andrew Lockheart interview. I will play it the minute we come back right after this commercial break, and then I'll be back in the final part. I don't know, I might do a top 10. Let's do a top 10. Run through a top 10 of Walk Culture. Get some Walk Culture in there as well, plus a few other promos as well. So I'll be back right after this.
There's only one wrestling podcast that gives you honest, uncut opinions and the most unique trivia since WWE did The Weakest Link. And the only place you can hear the show-stealing podcast promo every single week.
Covering WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground. Max Wrestling Podcast is the place for you. Join myself, Evan Money McCabe, the Phoenix, and the Butcher. Sundays at 7 PM UK time, 2 PM Eastern time with your host, Daddy Dangerously, on VOC Nation and the Swerve Talk Network.
Go to maxwrestling.wix.com/maxwrestling or follow us at maxwrestlinguk for more details.
Give in to the madness.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now, a brief interlude here before I get to the Andrew Lockhart, and I will be playing the Andrew Lockhart interview in this part, but ICW is back, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I'd fit it in and watch it. You know, I watched it, and I thought I'll briefly talk about it. It kicked off this week with, is it Liston Rees? If I pronounced that wrong, I deeply apologise, against Kenny Williams. Now, I'll get to that in a second, but I want to address the Coach Tripp DCT thing. Now, DCT and Coach Tripp have laid down the law and everything. DCT's broke away in his own right now because they won the titles of Baromania and everything has to go a different way now. But they'll be back with Polo Promotions once everything's back. They said they'll be ready, if 442's back in shape again and that. But this was the promo which led to the following announcement, guys, and that is DCT will get the King of the Mountain champion, the reigning King of the Mountain champion. At least that's what I hear anyway. I'm basically going off this past Impact, by the way. The reigning King of the Mountain champion, Bram, in a steel cage at Shug's house party in July. So DCT gets what he wants and gets a chance for a small measure of revenge. Lionheart defending the Zero G Championship against Lewis Garvin. Lionheart tried to get Lewis to do the right thing, didn't work. Lewis ended up fighting, going at it with Lionheart and doing very well. But Lionheart managed to get a hard-fought win by rolling up Lewis Garvin and holding the middle ropes to get the victory as well. Cheap win, but a win nonetheless. Going back to the Kenny Williams match, Kenny Williams outsmarts Rees and unlocks the second turnbuckle and drop toe holds him in it and gets the victory. I think Rees was trying to do it as well, but kind of backfired on him, and Kenny Williams gets a big victory in that match, which was a great match, by the way. Great way to kick off. Carmel Jacob, who was one of my favourite Scottish wrestling females in the world, and quite frankly, I've got the hots for. Quite frankly, she's absolutely gorgeous, and she really is awesome, no doubt. Who took on up-and-comer Courtney and defended the championship and successfully retained. And in a Scottish Rules World of Sport match, it was meant to be Chris Renfrew and Jack Jester, but it wasn't, because Jack Jester managed to get a suitable replacement, DCT. And DCT and Chris Renfrew went at it, and Chris Renfrew managed to get the victory and get the win. Now, all that led to the after the match, because Chris managed to cut a promo on Jester and the Black Label in general. And I believe one of the lines he used on Drew Galloway was, if it wasn't for ICW, you'd be doing Drew McIntyre tributes in America. That's the good one, it's true. But he managed to win. He basically called out the Black Label's manhood, if you will, and said that DCT had arrived and put DCT over. Very much so as well, very much so well deserved. But that's the ICW Fight Club for you guys. It is free on ICW On Demand. Go on it. I don't know how long it's going to be free, but it's free nonetheless. And more ICW next week. Yes, ICW is back on the podcast, thankfully. So ICW Friday Night Fight Club this week. I didn't know it was on this week, guys. It's been off for a couple of weeks, but it's back on. Hope you guys enjoyed that a little bit as well, and more of it next week. Now to the Andrew Lockhart Part 1. We've talked about reality of wrestling and various other topics as well, and how he was brought into the business. This is Part 1. Part 2 will be next week, so enjoy, guys. Ladies and gentlemen of the Wrestling Matters podcast universe. And no, I don't mean WWE universe. My name is Anthony Walker, and I'm here as part for the Wrestling Matters podcast with this very special interview. This is new to me, and you know how I like to do new stuff on this show. Keep everything fresh, keep everything new on this show, do it as best as I can. So I've got a new interviewee. I've never met this guy before, and I don't think you guys may have heard of him. But we're going to get to know him. I'm going to have a little chat with him right now. He is here. His name is Andrew Lockhart. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, Anthony. I appreciate you having me. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, sir. I appreciate your kind comment you put on Twitter when you first followed my WM Podcast Twitter page. You said it was your goal to get on the show. Here you are.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I want to get as many shows as possible. But yeah, this was definitely one of them, I noticed.
Yeah.
How are things over there in the UK?
Things are fine at the moment in the UK. Bit of a miserable day. A bit wet weather-wise, but other than that, it's been very quiet. Nothing big going down or anything like that, but like I said, just the only thing bad about it at the moment right now, it's a very wet day.
Okay, well, that's not terrible. Could be worse.
Yeah, true. It could be worse. It could be hailstoning or snow. Could be 3 layers of snow. You never know what weather we get over here in the UK. Trust me. Half a day it could be snow. Half a day it could be sunny. The next half of the day it could be rain, thunder, and lightning.
Well, I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, very unpredictable weather over here. But anyway, glad you can come on and do this interview with us. Like I say, it's all about getting to know you at this point anyway, this point of the interview. Because like I said, I'd never met you before. My listeners have never met you before, and plus other people as well will probably listen to this as well have never met you, don't know what you're all about. So, explain yourself. Who is Andrew Lockheart?
Well, Andrew Lockheart is, I'm like anybody else. I like to just enjoy the entertainment and the fun aspect of wrestling. And when it comes to professional wrestling, because I take it nobody would be listening to this if they weren't a wrestling fan, I, like most people, I started at a young age, pretty much my whole life, because my dad, who, he was a radio broadcaster up in the Minnesota, Minneapolis area here in the States, and whenever AWA was in town or like early WWF, he would interview those guys whenever they came to, I believe it was the River Center at the time in St. Paul, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So he was just always a wrestling fan growing up, and there were 6 kids growing up in my family, so wrestling was just always around our family. So like it started as a young age, and I just wrestled all the way since like 4 years old, amateur wrestling that is. And then when I got to high school, that's when we started professional wrestling. And so that's how I started, and that's Andrew Lockhart and his interest in wrestling. And if you want to go on further questions about my trainer or whatever, I'll just follow along with you.
Yeah, who is your trainer? Who trained you?
Yeah, we actually started in a place called Midwest Pro Wrestling, and there was this guy under the name, he just was known as the Sheriff, but that didn't really last long. He like kind of took everybody's money and then bailed after 4 months. So we started doing Lucha Libre training, and that went well. It helped us get like a lot of just ringing experience and experience in front of a crowd. And then we actually got hooked up with AWA promoter Vern Gagne. We got hooked up with his son, Greg Gagne. Mm-hmm. And so we're pretty much trained by Greg Gagne in all the old school AWA style. And then he hooked us up with Booker T. And when I say us, it's my brother Eric and I. We're a tag team, a brother tag team known as the Brothers Lockheart. Cool. So whenever people ask like who you trained by, it's pretty much under tutelage of Greg Gagne, and then we got recruited down to Houston, and then we were helped trained by Booker T as well.
Ah, yes, the WWE Hall of Famers.
That is correct, yeah.
Yeah. Mr. AWA himself, Vern Gagne, and Mr. 6-time World Heavyweight Champion, 5-time WCW Champion, Booker T. What was it like to work with both of them? As you know, what were they like as trainers, both of them? I mean, because I've watched, going with Vern Gagne, I've watched the AWA stuff on the WWE network, especially the AWA documentaries they had about the rise and fall of the AWA, and he was a very strict trainer from what I got on there as well. He would always have you make you run laps and run like big marathons and run like marathon-like courses. I mean, did he ever do that with you?
Just to clarify, we were trained by his son Greg Gagne. Jim Burnzell and the High Flyers.
Yes.
And so he did stuff very similar to his dad Vern, because when I mentioned before that lucha training, when we did Lucha Libre training, when that kind of went under, our dad actually bought the ring and put it in this warehouse in our small town in Wisconsin. So once Greg came out to this warehouse and he kind of saw it was like Vern back in the day, it was this old barn, it was really cold and there was no heating, no plumbing or anything. Like he kind of felt right at home. So we would just work on something like a drop down and a shoulder tackle like all day. And he would like his approach was, okay, I'm going to be back next week. If you guys don't get this down next week, we're done. And so we had to make sure like we got exactly what we wanted, and we would just spend a whole training, like a whole practice session on just doing the lockup and then working on our footwork. Even though we already been taught the basics of this, he's like, I'm going to teach you how to do it right so it looks crisp, it looks methodical, and it looks real, because he had that old-fashioned style. And then when it comes to the part 2 of your question, Booker T was more the entertainment style of it, like the showmanship and just making sure like your things, whatever you did was yours. So one day it could be in the video game, And like if you do a body slam, it's the Andrew Lockhart body slam, so nobody else can duplicate it. And if they are, they're trying to mock you, which is flattery.
Yeah, Booker T was relatively like that from what I got as well. I mean, I never experienced training with him or anything like that, but I've seen the way he came across when he was on Tough Enough with Austin. WWE's Tough Enough, the one where Austin was the host, and he did come across that he was, although he was all about the wrestling side of it as well, I'm not denying that, but he did look like he was more towards, you know, the entertainment side of it as well. That's what I got when I watched that Tough Enough as well. Have you competed? What other promotions have you competed in?
Well, I mean, just on a side note, what you just said, yeah, exactly. How what came across on Tough Enough is how he was in training. And, like, he wasn't there every day, but definitely at the start when we first moved down there in 2012, 2013, like, we worked with him a lot. And he was saying, like, Lance Storm has his school in Canada. He's like, if you want to learn to wrestle, you can go to Lance Storm school. But if you want to learn how to entertain and make money, you come to Houston and go to my school.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was definitely about, like, the sports entertainment. And just like it was college, like we already learned the basics and everything. He's like, if you come to my school, it's gonna be college, and you're gonna like learn the psychology of everything.
Yeah, there's two different ways now with it. Now you bring that up. There's two different ways now they do on the training. I mean, I've always been about professional wrestling and, you know, the wrestling side of it as well. But when it comes to the entertainment, I mean, this is what I always say: stand up for professional wrestling. I'm a big believer in that because professional wrestling lives. But it's the entertainment side of it. It's the entertainment. You can add the entertainment side into it, but you've got to get it to a point where, at least from my perspective anyway, it doesn't make you look stupid. You know, you've got to make, like you correctly say, Booker does it too. You know, you want to know how to make money and be a success. You come to his school. You know, that's the kind of place you want to be if you want to learn the entertainment side. So, I mean, I've never got that grasp of that, to be honest with you. I've always been more focused on professional wrestling, but I've never known, I mean, sports entertainment, I've never known what the entertainment can be, especially if I watch WWE at the day. I see some of the stuff on there, and I always think, they let you air that on TV, you know, kind of stuff. It's stuff that shouldn't be on TV, and I always wanted to know if they allowed, say if they put Booker T in the creative team, I always wondered what it would be like if he was you know, if he was in charge of the creative team in terms of the entertainment factor, as you correctly say, you know, things may be a little bit different.
You're right. Like that's actually interesting what you say. Like, but Booker being on the creative team, I guess the best example I could get, he was very about like you want to be a wrestler, but at the same time you want to have that entertainment factor. So, like, there's a lot of people out there that just have a first and last name, and then they're in wrestling tights, and that's it. There's nothing really to them. And he would give the praise to somebody like Alberto Del Rio that can go in there and he looks mean, he looks aggressive, and he can wrestle. Yeah. But if an outside fan asked you, like, well, what's this guy about? What's his character? You could actually say, like, well, he's like the aristocrat, the rich person of Mexico, or however you want to put it, because he was good at the wrestling, and then he also had an entertainment factor because he actually had a character to him, such as Dean Ambrose, I feel, and Shawn Michaels, and along those terms.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same, and it's also the same with Neville as well. I mean, in NXT, he was called Adrian Neville. But when he came up to the main roster, he's now just called Neville. And like you correctly say, he's a great wrestler. And he could, you know, fly and move around the ring. But like you say, what's his character? I mean, at the end of the day, he's the man that gravity forgot, which is a little bit odd. But he's, like I say, he's a great wrestler. It's just a shame at the end of the day he's not getting used. You know, he's not getting used properly. At least from what I'm seeing, anyway. That's why they should keep him back in NXT. At least that's my perspective on that. But like you say, it's all about that. I mean, if somebody asked me what Adrian Neville's all about, they'd be like, he's the man that gravity forgot. They'd be like, what? What's that mean? He defies gravity. He moves around the ring. I mean, he's also, not only is he a great wrestler, he's also known more for his high flying, as you will see if you see his matches. What other wrestling promotions have you competed in?
Well, Actually, it's been a small amount of wrestling promotions because the reason I say that is when we were trained by Greg, he got us hooked up with one of his, or somebody he knew back from the AWA days, and this guy ran shows, or I was a part of promotion that ran shows every single weekend, and he had different size rings from like 16 foot to 14 foot to 12 foot to, believe it or not, even 10 foot rings. So that was very limited what you could do in there, but that's when you just learn to work the crowd more and not just focus on doing so many moves after moves and try and be more of an entertainment factor, which was good to learn. I didn't wrestle in the 10-foot ring all the time, but if we were like crammed inside a bar or a graduation party or a VFW, I mean, it was pretty much a traveling circus, and we were just a part of that, my brother and I, and like I said, that was run every weekend. Sometimes we would do 4 shows in one weekend. And after about 5 years of that, we're like, okay, it's been good traveling all around the Midwest, but we're ready to do something new. So it was pretty much that. And then we came down to Houston and worked for Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. And those are pretty much, I worked other spot shows here and there, but like full-time promotion, and put a lot of time and effort and heart and money into it, with traveling costs and all, it was pretty much just those two. But I'm kind of known right now as like former ROW star because I'm actually back in up in Wisconsin right now. I am no longer in Houston. I'm no longer with Reality of Wrestling. I'm actually in a transitional period, looking to do something new right now.
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. Always do something new, and keep things interesting. I have come across ROW a few times. Reality of Wrestling, Booker T's promotion.
Mm-hmm.
It does look pretty good, and he does have some nice style. I mean, I came across it a few times when he had when he decided to bring Harlem Heat back.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Stevie Ray, which was how are them as a tag team and not in the Hall of Fame is just amazing to me. I know Booker T's in the Hall of Fame, but to be honest with you, if you're talking about tag teams, they should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. I think it was about 11-time tag team champions they were in WCW, and in my opinion, they were one, if not top 5, WCW's greatest tag teams.
Well, yeah, for sure, it could happen one day. I mean, no disrespect, but the Freebirds were just inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I don't think Jimmy Garvin ever worked a day for WWE.
No, that's true. That it should have been mainly focused about the original 3 before Garvin. I mean, Garvin never worked in WWE, let it correctly say. However, the original Freebirds did. I think it was back when Vince McMahon Sr. was in charge. They did a few shows here and there for that, and I think even for Vince Jr., I'm not quite sure, but they did have a brief time in WWF at the time before they ended up going to Texas to have their feud with the Von Erichs. So they definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. No question about that.
So never say never with Stevie Ray and Harlem Heat, because there's plenty of guys.
I hope so.
If they're decorated enough, I feel like they get into the Hall of Fame. I mean, Nick Bockwinkel was, rest in peace, but he was just known for his AWA stuff. Yeah. So was Vern. But, I mean, they made such an impact, I think. Yeah. I mean, Stevie Ray and Harlem Heat could be in.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Madness podcast. Hope you enjoyed the Andrew Lockhart interview there, the part 1. Part 2 will be next week, so check that out. Be sure to tune in for that. Now, like I say, guys, Swerve Talk Network, check them all out. I'll get these promos in. I'll get this promotion thing in right now. Swerve Talk Network, check out Max Wrestling Podcast with Daz, Craig, and everybody on that as well. each and every week. They do great shows, great podcasts, talk about wrestling, give their opinions. They do a great game on there as well, which I love taking part in, and I've never ended up doing a promo on that game. But anyway, be sure to check them out. If you haven't listened to them, you need to listen to them. Okay, it is highly recommended. Take it from your boy. Also, check out Offshoot Radio as well with the one and only James Belmont and Max Rodriguez himself. Michael Rodriguez. I know I said Max Rodriguez. Fuck off. Yeah, it's a football player in my mind. But Michael Rodriguez, like I said, Michael Rodriguez, the professor of TNA, my pain in the ass, that still haunts me to this day. Battle Creek, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan. What the fuck was I thinking? And he was more for fucking sleep than me. Fuck. Anyway, also check out my boys at Sunday Segway as well. The mentor of mine, the one and only Kenny Killer, and the Galden Sugar Shugs. Also check out Kenny's new YouTube show as well that he's doing as well. The Sunday Segway TV, I believe it's called. Be sure to check all that out. Check it out. Links will be in the description below. Also, like I said earlier on, guys, Havoc on the Island this Wednesday, 56 to 58, Birkenhead, Oxton Road, that is, in Birkenhead. Get yourself over there. Jimmy Havoc's there. And I tell you right now, if I was living in Liverpool, I'd be there in a fucking flash, trust me, okay? Hopefully something could be worked out on that, because I've already let him know what's going down and everything, and he's working something out, so hopefully that will come through. I'm not going to say anything too much, I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully that will go through. If you're in that area and you're a wrestling fan, get yourself over and get your autograph signed by the man responsible for the best fucking heel turn in professional wrestling, period. Anyway, and I will end this episode, ladies and gentlemen, of the Wrestling Matters podcast with another What Culture Top 10 this week, with something that I found, and it is the top 10 things that WWE wants you to forget about old Randall Keith Orton himself, Mr. RKO, Randy Orton. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So let's have a look. 10 things WWE want you to forget. The shape-shifting wife is number 10. Now, for those of you that don't know, this was during the feud with Triple H leading into WrestleMania and CM Punk leading into WrestleMania. You all remember the Triple H feud with the end of the fighting at the 25th anniversary at WrestleMania? Well, Triple H invaded the home, the wife there, and then when he fought CM Punk, and CM Punk attacked him outside his bus, there was 2 different wives there, and CM Punk was stalking the wife. There was 2 different wives. That's because it wasn't his real wife, and he didn't want Samantha getting involved. So a little hit there for you. His treatment of the Divas. Apparently, he is being known to be a tool to the Divas, shitting in their bags and that, going a little bit too far with them. I don't know the full details on that one, but that's what I've heard. And there's a lot of things that were Divas in there as well. It's just this, and this. It's just stories that you hear that you only believe from the man himself, quite frankly. And it's just WWE. It's stuff that you want to believe, but you have to believe it from the horse's mouth, because maybe it's a shit staring. I don't know. Number 8 was getting Mr. Kennedy fired. Now, the man now known as Mr. Anderson, apparently this guy got him fired. Now, it was during a 10-man tag, basketball-themed tag, where all the wrestlers were wearing jerseys. Now, I remember this very well, because it was on Raw. It was a main event on Raw, and it was the Los Angeles Lakers themed. I think it was in LA at the time, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong on that one. But, yeah, the team featured, on one side for the Lakers, it was John Cena, Mr. Kennedy, Dave Bautista, Jerry Lawler, and MVP. And on the other side was Randy Orton, believe it, that was Miz, Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, and The Big Show. Now, during this match, I think Mr. Anderson gives him a back suplex, and Orton landed on his shoulder that he injured. And he wasn't too happy about it. And then after the match, he blew off backstage, and one thing led to another. You all know what happened after that. He ended up fired. That's why he ended up in TNA. Now, number 7 was getting low-blowed by a fan. Now, this happened in a house show, and the fan was actually a professional wrestler in his own right. None of us at the level of Randy Orton. But he thought it'd be funny to go into the ring while Orton was doing his pose and low-blow him. Orton was not too pleased, and, flipping him off and everything, antagonizing him, but it was funny nonetheless. Number 6 was the Kofi incident. Oh boy. Now, apparently during the match that featured Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston, Kofi was supposed to take a punt, but he forgot to stay down and got back up on his feet, and Orton gave him a vicious RKO and got up saying the word Stupid, you know, really angry at him, and got the 1, 2, 3 and just won it that way. So basically Kofi fucked up the ending, and Orton lost his temper and wasn't very particularly pleased about it. Cashing in, number 5 was cashing in on Eddie's death. Now this leads to the Rey Mysterio match that he had with Rey, trying to take the number 1 contendership leading into WrestleMania when Rey eventually won the title. Cashing in on Eddie's death was the line that he said, "Eddie's not in heaven, Eddie's down there in hell," to Rey Mysterio. So, and that's what all ended up to the No Way Out match, which Randy eventually ended up winning, but somehow it ended up being a triple threat match, and then Rey ends up winning the title. And many people believe to this very day that Rey Mysterio only won the World Championship because of Eddie's death. Spending time in a military prison. Now, this was because he left. I'm sure you guys all know about this. He went AWOL from the military, and he had to spend time in military prisons. I think he left due to the fact he might have got sick of it and that, but you know, that was the whole reason behind it, because he went AWOL from the military. He didn't want to be there anymore, and then he went AWOL, you know, and that's why he ended up in the military prison. Yeah, what a joy. And that's why people don't like him, especially people who have been in the army. They're not really particularly fond of him, or particularly fond of that. The next one was suspensions for his unprofessional conduct. You know, you can believe what you read, believe what you hear. On there as well, there was a lot of stuff that he did, and that, trashing up in a hotel room in the UK, getting sent home from it, and that. It's just, you know, rebel-less kind of things and that, and drugs and shit like that, and I don't know. I say, it's all the stuff you would get on a dirt sheet that you think, yeah, it's neither here or there kind of stuff, and he got suspended for it and all that. Speaking of the drugs, the violation of the wellness policies as well, taking drugs, you know, getting 30-day suspensions, and then probably ended up being 60-day suspensions and shit like that, you know, all that kind of stuff. Randy Orton suspended for 60 days here and there. Obviously, I would think he's learned his lesson from that, but anyway. And number 1 is the ultimate, and I'm not saying the ultimate in the Ultimate Warrior, the ultimate one that people don't want you to remember anymore, and that was his very first World Heavyweight Championship win. Now, if you went to WWE, especially Vince McMahon, and asked him the question, who did Randy Orton win his very first World Championship from? Oh, I guarantee you the answer would probably be the Invisible Man, because for those of you that don't know, in 2004 at SummerSlam, Randy Orton won the world title. Back then when they had that big belt, that WCW belt, Randy Orton won the world title from Chris Benoit. That's right, Chris Benoit. Now, we all know what happened to Chris Benoit since then. That's why WWE don't want you to remember it anymore, because of Chris Benoit kind of thing. Stupid, I know, because it happened. You can't change that. It's understandable the reason why they want to do it that way, because of what happened to Chris Benoit, you know, murdering his family and yada yada yada. But it's stupid to do that for the fact that Orton won the World Championship from Chris Benoit. It's not like he won it from the fucking Invisible Man or some sort. You know, it's, you know, I couldn't understand why they don't want to mention Chris Benoit anymore, but you know, it's preposterous stupidity to say, oh, to basically turn around and go, oh yeah, Randy Orton won his first world title from the Invisible Man. You know, I'll let you think about that one. Anyway, that about wraps it up for the Wrestling Matters podcast, ladies and gentlemen, this week. Hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast. Feedback is welcome. Catch me on the links in the description below. And until next time, guys, Wrestling Matters on the Wrestling Matters channel and SoundCloud, and Wrestling Matters in general, guys. This has been the Wrestling Matters podcast. I've been Anthony Walker. You've been beautiful, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Professional wrestling, this is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's 13-14. American till death.
Dina, I am the best in the world.
'Cause that's the bottom line. 'Cause Stone Cold Simpson.